So we have come to the end of a rather unusual semester, and for the first time being a college student, there's definitely a lot of what ifs and, unsureties about what still is going on, but obviously it was a big learning experience going through this first semester. So as for my perspective on the three pillars, I think they're relatively self-explanatory. Basically, they just keep a balanced life, but keep good goals and stay focused on what is important. Obviously, I had to be flexible with how I approach them. With the pandemic limiting certain opportunities, especially with community service, and being able to continue to be adaptable throughout this whole entire process of being a college student is so important. And I don't know if that necessarily changed my perspective, but it changed the way I approached them from a goal-minded standpoint. As for the SMART goals, definitely something that I learned to use in high school. Make sure that basically it's realistic and you have that motivation to go chase these goals and setting realistic expectations that won't be blown out of the water. Again, with the whole semester being as wonky as it was, I had to adjust my limits around these SMART goals and sort of change the expectations that I had. And obviously, I hope to really turn the Jets back on with more ambitious goals as soon as next semester, depending on how things open back up. But again, it's a wonky semester. I fell kind of short on one or two of the goals, but I made sure that a number of my goals, specifically around academics and around personal health, were easy to reach, making sure that I do my best and that I keep a regular schedule and stay organized. As for the campus leadership aspect of being in the honors program, it was an honor to get that letter that said I was in the honors program. And it was sort of a realization that I had more than just that good grades aspect or that I was an athlete. The biggest part was I had the talent, I had the ability to grow beyond what many considered I was able to be as a student. And I think the most visible example of being a leader, or most effective example rather, isn't being that big man on campus, but rather doing the small things. I was always taught to lead by example, to do the right thing when no one else would. And at the very least, you'd feel better about yourself and what you do. And eventually, over time, people see what you do and they replicate that. And that can even be as small as, during the pandemic, social distancing, wearing a mask, and showing what the right behavior is. It's about the little things. Everyone wants to be that big praised leader who, gets all the glory, but at the end of the day, the leaders are the ones that go right down to the smallest detail. Of course, as I said with a lot of previous statements, the biggest challenge this semester was the pandemic. And the biggest thing for me was, how is that going to impact the amount of time that I spent in the dorms or spent in certain areas? And how was it going to affect class delivery? And how was it going to affect my organization and motivation going into the end of the semester? And the biggest thing is to take everything one step at a time. Don't over panic about the small stuff. And keep everything in context. It can be easy to say, oh, the semester is going to be all digital or everything's going to be shut down. But keeping everything in context and seeing the bigger picture really helps, because you can see that next step. You can see where this road in the light is brighter in the future. And at the end of the day, this is a good lesson in adaptability. How well can you change and be flexible to situations that don't necessarily go towards your side of the battle? As for the thing that surprised me the most was how easy it was to make friends when there were opportunities to do so. Oh, I got lucky with my roommate. We've gone along very well considering how much I've heard people having struggles with their roommates. And, again, there hasn't been a ton of opportunities to meet up with people due to the pandemic, but when I have met up with people, it's been easy to get along with them, to get to know them. And I still need to work more on my part of being out there and being more sociable, but I have a good feeling that once things start to loosen up, then it'll be much easier for me to approach people and introduce myself and get to build that sort of big connection base that I need as a college student. At the end of the day, it has been a wild semester, but if anyone who knows me can recall, this was where I wanted to be. This was my version of a dream school, from my family being native to Nebraska, to the community that I knew was always so great, to the sports, to everything. And being a part of the honors program is another sort of step towards what I know I can be the best version of myself. So throughout the challenges, throughout the anomalies, throughout this semester, this is not, something bad. This is something that I know that I can go on to tell my students or my children or my grandchildren, say, this was something I lived through. This is something that challenged me on a level that not many people get to face. And at the end of the day, I came out all the better for it. So now there's only one thing left to say, and that is go Big Red.